I'll often talk about this concept of our internal and external experience and how they match in my workshops. And I think whether we're talking about self-care, whether we're talking about our brilliance and our confidence, we have this dual approach, right? Our external environments, as we know, can both be conducive to making that a success, but also detract from the success in that space. I'll give you an example of that. Being in a toxic relationship or a toxic work culture certainly erodes our confidence and makes our wellness less easy to achieve. And a lot of the time it's our external environment that we can't control, other than removing ourselves from it. But the internal environment can almost provide this armor, if you like, against said internal environment. And our internal environment is the one, of course, that we get control over. However, it can be just as toxic as some of those external environments I've mentioned. So if we have a harsh inner critic, if we have a negative mindset, if we have low self-esteem, low self-confidence, we lack self-efficacy, this internal environment becomes a very difficult one to cultivate in a positive way. And you'll have heard me talk about our internal environment often like a garden. What we focus on grows. So when we focus on the negative, it is like watering weeds in our garden. And then we get this internal environment that's very negative and full of weeds, and we wonder why. So when we make the space and cultivate the conditions for this internal environment to become peaceful, calm, positive, we are watering the flowers and allowing them space to bloom. And when we cultivate this kind of internal environment, what we're doing is providing this protective layer, or this armor, if you like, for what the external environment throws at us. Now, ideally, of course, we have both a positive internal environment and a positive external environment, and that is a good thing. But if we can't have a positive external environment for whatever reason, then this internal environment helps fight that. And of course, the reverse can also be true. They can flip. We can be in a positive external environment, we can be in a great work culture, we can have supporting, loving relationships, but if our internal environment isn't right, then that kind of doesn't get through. It's providing armor, but in the wrong direction. So that can lead to us feeling more negative and more like a victim and quite helpless in that situation. So the most important environment we can cultivate, especially if we're having to manage an external negative one, is our internal environment. That's our mindset. That's who we are, how we feel, what we focus on, the thoughts that we put into our mind, the media that we consume. Everything that goes into here, much like what goes into here and what we eat, helps our physical body or not. What we put into here, our mental diet, helps our mental health or not. So, what kind of internal environment are you cultivating? And how is it helping? Is it blocking some of that negative stuff that happens on the outside? Or is it actually providing a garden full of weeds inside? Because the one thing we get to control, even when that external environment is less than ideal, the one thing we get to control is our internal environment. And whether we are watering the flowers or watering the weeds.